Hi, I'm Sean Payne. I'm a police sergeant for the town of Sturbridge. I'm joined today by Sherry Babinski from Cornerstone Bank and Officer Paul Jansen, also of the Sturbridge Police Department. We've put together a program here with the Senior Center called Seniors and Law Enforcement Together, SALT. And we do that the third Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. We meet right here at the Sturbridge Senior Center to talk about events that affect the senior citizen community. We would be meeting in person if it weren't for the coronavirus. So now we've all come together here today, masked up at appropriate social distance so that we can give our message to the senior citizens today. Sherry Babinski was nice enough to join us today to talk about different scams and fraud affecting the elderly community. She's put together a list of some of the most common things that she's seen, and she's going to talk about them, and we'll take them one at a time.
Perfect. Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate being here. And given this time of uncertainty and COVID, there's a lot of even more scams that are out there that we need to be aware of and make sure that people are keeping their personal information safe. So some of that we wanted to touch base on is, with those checks that we're receiving, there's a lot of fake checks or online accesses or advance fees. People are getting some, you need to pay an advance fee before you can get your money if people haven't received their money yet. So there's some of those things that we're looking at to make sure people aren't answering any of those, any links or any phone calls saying that you need to pay these fees in advance. That's something that you need to be very careful of. They are sending out fake checks that may look like a stimulus check but is not, so you need to be careful of that. One major scam that has happened in the past but has kind of upticked recently and is the Microsoft scam. So a lot of people being at home and being on their computer more, they get a big alert on their computer saying your computer is no longer working, we need to fix it for you, and they get into your computer, and if you happen to be on your online banking, now they have access to that. So if that ever happens, just shut your computer down, contact your local authorities, your bank, and you need to get your computer fixed. That's one of the major ones that we're seeing at the moment. There's also an overpayment scam. So you received an overpayment on your stimulus check. And a reminder is that the government will never ask you for your, call or email you for your Social Security or banking information. And you don't need to pay anything up front to receive your check, just a reminder of that. And you do not need to complete your census to receive a check. That's another scam that's out there, is you have to do your census in order to do this, and they're getting information through the census to get information for your personal information, your bank information. So, and the IRS will never send you an overpayment that you need to return. So that's another thing we need to be careful of.
Sherry, I would say if you're receiving money in the mail that you haven't asked for, that's probably too good to be true.
Absolutely.
If you get a check in the mail and you have a question about it, could you call Cornerstone Bank and say, hey, I have a question on this check. Do you know if it's real or if I should even bother coming by to cash it? Absolutely.
We always do our due diligence for you, and if we at the branch at that level don't have an answer, we know where to find an answer for you. So absolutely go to your bank and ask them to look into the validity of that check to make sure it is your money. Because in the big picture, what's happening is they're giving you a check to go deposit, and they always tell you, don't tell anybody, don't tell the bank, don't tell local authorities. Go to the bank, say it's for something that I'm doing home repairs, something that I affect. You deposit the bad funds, and you send them the good funds, and now you're going to owe the bank that money that is out. So you really need to be careful on those possible fake checks and do the due diligence to look into that for sure.
Officer Jansen and I have dealt with similar cases where people will get you on the phone, they'll be very aggressive, tell you not to tell anybody. If they're telling you not to tell anybody that you're withdrawing money or transferring money, or if they send you somewhere to buy gift cards, those are all red flags that you should consider before taking any additional steps. You can call the police department if you have a question of the validity of any of the people are calling you if you want to figure out if it's legitimate or not. We're a phone call away.
Also, something that's been happening with this whole COVID time is door-to-door testing. I'm not sure if we've seen it in this area, but it's something that could happen. just saying that they're gonna be showing for your door to take a test, and then someone else will come in a different door and try to steal your items. So again, just something to be aware of. They're not gonna do door-to-door testing. And then just pretending they're from Medicare as well, that's another one that we've heard of. In all of us, in the big picture too, something that we've been seeing, unfortunately, is, families being the ones that are taking their families for their money. So if, you need to just make sure that you're protecting your funds the best way you can, and it's something that we need to make sure that we're giving out the money to the right people for the right reasons. So just making sure that that's something that we're protecting.
As far as the door-to-door testing, Officer Jansen, were you familiar with that? I remember at the beginning of the coronavirus when I think there was a white van. It wasn't here in the town of Sturbridge, but could you talk about that for a second?
We have gotten calls of a white van and other vehicles coming door to door. Anyone who approaches your door you don't feel comfortable with, just tell them to leave, and if they don't, please call Sturbridge Police 911. Another thing I want to talk about is if you do get a phone call and don't feel safe, you can always hang that phone call up, get that number that you know is true, and then call them back just to be confirmed that it is the right person, because people can mask their phone number by internet databases. So don't always trust the phone number on your caller ID.
Yes, exactly, because it has happened even to the bank. They show up as Cornerstone Bank, and it is not us calling you, so it's a very good point.
I've gotten that at home on my caller ID. It'll say I'm calling myself, and I know I've got my phone in my hand. It's not me.
Absolutely. And I think something that's also increased during this time is online shopping. So with that too, you need to make sure you're on a secure site. So if you're doing some online shopping, make sure it has HTTPS at the end of it, and you're not clicking on any links that are within an email and then shopping from there, and just making sure that you're on a secure site and keeping your information protected. And I know some remote learning scams have been out there as well. And another one is, of course, the mortgage scams right now. People are calling and offering, all this relief. And like we discussed before, if it's too good to be true, it most likely is. And if you have any questions at all about that, certainly call the bank and talk to your local bank about any relief for mortgage funds. And even if you don't have your mortgage with them, we can certainly help you and guide you in the right direction for those types of reliefs. And there's also a lot of SBA loans going around right now, and all the relief from the government. So just making sure you're doing your due diligence and your homework before accepting anything from anybody and giving any money back to anybody.
Yeah, that probably bears repeating several times throughout our presentation here today. If it's too good to be true, it most likely is. Don't release any information to anybody over the phone or over the internet unless you're 100% sure who you're dealing with.
Right. And a lot of the ones that have, again, increased recently is the grandson in jail bit. I'm stuck here and I need money. Again, make sure you're calling someone to make sure you know where your grandson is before you're sending any type of money. Definitely doing your homework on that before helping anybody that may say they're in need of help.
So a lot of these that you're talking about, people watching might think that doesn't happen here in Sturbridge, it's not going to happen to me. We're here to tell you that yes it does and yes it can.
Yeah.
That grandson in jail happened to a resident of this town within the last year or so. The elderly gentleman called us, said, I think I've been scammed. Someone said they were my granddaughter. They called me, they said, Grandpa? He said, yeah, Sarah? He only had one granddaughter. She said, yeah, Grandpa, it's me, Sarah. I'm in jail and I need money. So I'm gonna put you on with the bail commissioner. Please don't tell my dad. Again, with the please don't tell anyone. So he puts the alleged bail commissioner on the phone. He wires $1,200 down to Florida. Walmart Loss Prevention was able to stop that transaction. We were able to get all of his money back before it got picked up by the person on the other end. But that does happen. It's a real thing.
Absolutely. And as a bank, being on the front line, and when someone approaches you, we're taught to ask a lot of questions. So, and that's only for your safety and protecting your funds, because we truly want to know, who is this person you're talking to? Do you know this person who you're talking to? And we're going to ask you a lot of questions before you might send out a wire or something like that, only to protect you and your funds. Sometimes people get apprehensive, like, why are you asking me this? It's my money. But we're just doing it because, again, you talked about a wire. A lot of times you can't get those back. Once it's gone, it's very, very hard to get those funds returned back to the customer. And it's very unfortunate. I've seen people be swindled out of thousands and thousands of dollars. And there's only so much to it on our forefront that we can do. We can ask the right questions and say the right, make sure that we do our due diligence. But if they're still adamant about sending, it's very hard to solely stop that and to say, no, you can't do this.
In the case that I remember dealing with, if it hadn't been for an alert Walmart employee on the other end, that man's money would have been gone, and there would have been nothing he could do about it to get it back.
Absolutely, and something along the same lines is the romance scams that we're seeing too. You meet someone online and then you build this relationship, and we've actually seen a lot of that in this area. And again, if you haven't talked to them or seen them in person, sending someone money that you've never met is not a good idea. So just again, making sure you know truly who you're dealing with when sending any type of money at all. Because again, the wire transfer fraud, it's extremely hard to get money back once it's sent.
Those do happen in this area as well. I recall one recently where a woman came in to claim that she had been victim of a larceny. She said that she had bought all these Google gift cards, and there was no money on any of the cards, which made no sense because she had purchased them in 3 different locations. So for all of them to have no money on them didn't make any sense. After interviewing her, we were able to determine that she fell in love with someone online that she had never met, and this person was bilking her out of thousands of dollars. She was too embarrassed to tell the police that she had been victim of a scam. We were able to work through it with her. We tried to get her money back, but we were unsuccessful in doing so. But those do happen, and they do happen here.
Yes. And the hardest part, I think, for probably yourselves and someone in our position is, as much as we try to do our due diligence, sometimes the people are so willing and want to have that really happen on the back end. And again, like, we can't reiterate enough, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that includes, maybe a romance or someone else that you're meeting on the other end. So definitely, it happens to a lot of people, so don't be ashamed if it does happen, but just learn from that experience to make sure it doesn't happen even more. And that you're out of, I've seen people go through their whole entire life savings and now don't have a retirement because of it.
That's a shame.
And to touch upon the bail portion, us police officers, we don't work on that type of manner. You have to bring the cash to the police department. There's no wiring, there's no shipping. I've also seen that, to the tune of $5,000. Just make sure, again, if you feel like you don't know who you're talking to, you can always end that call, end whoever you're talking to by online, and contact a proper person who you think you're talking to.
That's 100% right. There's no government agency that is going to ask you to pay in Walmart gift cards or Google currency or Apple iTunes. If you're getting asked to pay in any type of manner that's not cash or certified check, it's probably not legitimate.
And one thing, as a banker too, we try to do our best to not let people leave with actual cash. Can we make a bank check for you and it's payable to? Because a lot of times they're told, again, just to go get cash, and we try to avoid that at all costs as well. And one other scam that's been coming up recently with this whole COVID thing is charitable giving scams. So just being careful who you are donating to, and the charity in which you're donating to. They're making phone calls, they're sending emails, they're sending invalid links to other locations. So just making sure that you know the organization, and again, do your homework, do your research before making a donation, and do it locally, and to an organization that and that way you can help out your community as well at the same time.
We've become familiar with some scams regarding fake web address. I think they call it web squatting. So a legitimate organization will set up a giving website for the general public to make donations, and another company or a criminal enterprise will create a website that's one letter or one number off from that website, and hope that people make a typo and land there to donate all their money. So even if you think you're giving to a charitable organization, that could be too good to be true. So make sure that you know exactly what you're typing and where you're going when you're on the internet.
Absolutely. So some of these COVID scams too is, you know, a lot of people out there are willing to help go shopping for the elderly and do, you know, some of their grocery shopping and such, so they don't have to go out and be exposed. But that's also another scam that's happening, is they'll give them the money and then they won't come back with the items. So I don't know if it's happened again here locally, but just something to be aware of. If someone's helping you out doing that, making sure it's someone you trust, not just a stranger. And again, you can contact your local senior center if you need help. In that respect, they've been extremely helpful here in Sturbridge on helping their seniors if need be and doing some shopping. So
I think we have the best senior center and council on aging in the entire Commonwealth.
Yep.
The people that work here truly care about the senior citizens in this community.
absolutely. Yeah, so just if you need any help, contact your local Sturbridge senior center for help versus taking the help from a stranger, because you don't know what you're going to get yourself into. So that's the majority of the scams that we've been seeing in our area right now. And again, like we said, if it's too good to be true, it most likely is. You can certainly reach out to your local bank, to me at Cornerstone Bank, and to your local police department, to your local senior center. There's plenty of resources out there for everyone to make sure that you don't get yourself into one of these scams.
I'll say it again, and then maybe Officer Jansen, you could say it. If it's too good to be true, it's most likely too good to be true. I don't know if you wanted to say that.
So these criminals, they make a living on this. They're very good at what they do. They're not going to come across as that criminal everyone's thinking of, that raspy voice and angry person. They're going to come across as a sweetheart or someone that you would enjoy spending time with. They build that rapport with you because they're con artists, and that's how they get that information from you, because they make you trust them. So please don't fall for that.
A lot of these scams do originate on the telephone, and one of the programs that I'm familiar with, I don't endorse this product over any other product, it's just one that I know that works. It's called Nomo Robo, Nomorobo, and you can enter that into Google. It's Nomo Robo. They will take your phone number, they add you to a list, and any number that tries to call your phone, if it's a spam call, your phone will only ring one time and then it will stop ringing. There's a database of thousands and thousands of phone numbers that con artists, their only purpose is to prevent your phone from ringing with a scam number. So that's No More Robo. That's one of the things that I highly recommend our senior citizens, or really anybody, get a hold of, or programs like that.
That's great. I didn't know. I learned something today, so that's great. I can use that information with our customers as well.
I know TriValley Elder Services, they have a great program where if you do have some, questions regarding finances, I know a lot of people like to do face-to-face business. I'm one of them. TriValley, you can call them, and they are financial experts who can help you, I believe, at no cost. So.
Yeah, they have a financial program that a few people at Cornerstone Bank do utilize, and they work with a person at the bank, help pay their bills and help balance their checkbook and everything like that. So, and I think that's another way to help avoid, paying things that you shouldn't be paying, and you get that assistance with your checkbook and paying things on time, and again, you get that that personal contact and someone to come visit you as well, and they are doing it currently safely through wearing masks and taking the precautions, but I know that that program is still being utilized right now. So
I think that's about all we have for you guys. We miss very much our senior citizen community. It's an absolute shame that we can't be here in person to see all of your smiling faces. I hope that the third Thursday in June at 1 p.m. we'll all be in here having a good time together with another presentation for you guys. In the meantime, I'd like to thank Leslie Wong from the Sturbridge Council on Aging for allowing us to use this space today, Bruce Butcher and Steve Sanderson from Sturbridge Public Access, and also our lieutenant, our interim chief, Earl Desert, for allowing us to be here to spend some time with you all. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you can call the Sturbridge Police Non-Emergency Line at 508-347-2525. Ask to speak to a police officer. We'll see you next month.